Consciousness is often analogized as a cinema screen, the singular reality onto which experiences are projected. The screen, however, stays concealed as captivating images take center stage. Only when the projection ceases, we become aware of the screen's existence. Consciousness thus serves as a vast backdrop where experiences come into being and fade away, while the projected images are ephemeral shadows. A profound urge to alleviate suffering frequently emerges within us. This suffering stems from our ignorance of our true nature, particularly our obliviousness towards consciousness. This consciousness is described as an infinite, impersonal entity, adapting itself to every finite, personal manifestation of our physical and mental self. As we engage our minds, we knowingly or unknowingly align with its concepts and limitations. Utilizing the mind entails acceptance of its inherent constraints. Each of our experiences mirrors a ripple within the immense ocean of our fundamental self. These experiences, including thoughts, emotions, and perceptions, are transient, like dream elements. Yet, the foundational substance of these mental phenomena is our true self, the consciousness. From an objective standpoint, consciousness may seem non-existent or illusory, but it is, in fact, the essence of every encounter. The problem arises when we confuse the unreal for the real, and vice versa. Thinking, imagining, feeling, seeing, hearing, and smelling are avenues through which knowledge manifests. But, what forms knowledge? It comprises what consciousness is cognizant of and experiences. Essentially, knowledge is molded from consciousness, our intimate essence. An attempt to exclude consciousness from our experience proves futile. We cannot venture beyond consciousness in our subjective journey. Following this reasoning experientially, we acknowledge that consciousness is the crux of every objective encounter. We understand that knowledge stems from knowing, which in turn emanates from consciousness. Consciousness forms the primary reality, permeating our every instant experience. It is not merely an abstract notion but a direct and intimate encounter. As an individual, you are integral to consciousness. That which is persistently present with you can truly be termed as your essential self. If you scrutinize your experiences, you'll realize that only consciousness is continuously present with you. When exploring reality or the self, we move beyond the ultimate level of consciousness into discussions that touch upon the ineffable, unimaginable, and indescribable. The final response to inquiries about reality or the self loops back to reality or the self, transcending verbal limitations. Consciousness forms our primary and ever-present experience. Consciousness assumes the form of thoughts and imagination to appear as the mind, and adopts the guise of feelings to present itself as the body. The concept of an independent mind, body, or world is purely theoretical. Mind, body, and world are never experienced as separate entities but are the interplay of thinking, feeling, and perceiving, all rooted in consciousness. Thinking, feeling, and perceiving are inherent aspects of consciousness, not distinct from it. From a certain perspective, it seems as if consciousness projects itself through thinking, feeling, and perceiving, transforming into objects in a world. However, this projection always remains within consciousness, even if it appears to exceed its confines. All experiences form a continuous, interconnected entity. The perceived dichotomy between the self and the external world's objects is merely a construct of thought, never encountered in direct experience. Consciousness creates a division within its own unity, leading to the perception of a self and a world. This illusory separation gives rise to a distinction between the thinker and thought, the knower and the known, the experiencer and the experienced. The unified essence is broken down into subject and object. But retracing this projection from its origin, we begin to diminish the significance of the mind, body, and world through thinking, feeling, and perceiving activities. Upon closer inspection, we realize these processes are manifestations of consciousness. We embody both the observer and the substance of all experiences. The act of knowing these words and the act of being these words are inseparable aspects of the same experience. In our lived experiences, there are no personal entities or independent objects. The notions of I and the world are co-creations that emerge in the realm of imagination. They appear and disappear together within that which transcends these appearances and disappearances. They are two sides of the same reality coin, the currency of which is the present consciousness. This consciousness forms the fabric in which actual experiences appear and from which they are constructed. The division of experience into a perceiver and a perceived, a knower and a known, is akin to a mirage. In truth, such a division never actually happens. Both the experiencer and the experienced are composed of the act of experiencing itself, rooted in the present consciousness. Every aspect of experience is imbued with consciousness. The self and the world seem to come into existence, but this birth is merely an appearance. There are no separate entities, no distinct objects or worlds, only the undivided presence. If we cleanse the doors of perception, reality's true nature will be revealed, and we will perceive ourselves as infinite. By freeing the mind from its self-imposed limitations, it ceases to project those limitations onto perceived objects, others, or the world. In this realization, the mind uncovers its inherent infinity, and objects or the world cease to be separate entities. Instead, they are manifestations of the radiant, infinite self-awareness of divine being. What else could this presence truly know other than itself? With the mind, we can know countless things, but with the heart, we can intimately feel the singular reality, the one true essence that encompasses all.